For those of you who don't know me, I'm AJ Thompson, the owner of Redbridge Wine Company. I've worked in the wine industry now for over 25 years in a number of ways, but since 2012, my main business has been importing wine from Europe. And these days, I've got a fairly extensive portfolio of wine from France, Spain, and Italy. Well, it all started with this grape, this place, and more than a little bit of this. I'd exported previously, but in 2011 I had an opportunity to sell Central Otago Pinot Noir to China. And I needed a brand. Now I live in Wanaka in Central Otago, and the Red Bridge across the Clutha River is a well-known local icon. And the Clutha River was the heart of the 1880s gold rush in New Zealand, and a lot of the miners that came out to New Zealand were Chinese. In 2008, New Zealand became the first developed Western country to establish a free trade agreement with China. And with Pinot Noir being the new gold, and the free trade agreement being like the new bridge to China, Red Bridge was the perfect brand. So that went on for a couple of years, and meanwhile I was seriously racing long-distance triathlon in my spare time. And I was fortunate enough to make the New Zealand team to the World Long Distance Triathlon Championships in 2012, which were held in the Basque capital, Vitoria, in Spain, which is around 45 minutes from Bilbao and around an hour from the coast, and also close to the well-known city of San Sebastian. While I was there, I thought, I've got to find a way to come back because this place is fantastic and I want to spend more time here. And I was only about half an hour away in a straight line from the primary Spanish region of Rioja. Now, it just so happened that I had been trying to sell some Pinot Noir from Central Otago to some guys in Valencia. So I rang them and said, hey, you don't know anybody in Rioja that I could go and talk to, and with a view to maybe bringing wine in. And they put me in touch with a guy called Carlos Soto. And Carlos had been the head of a very big Spanish wine company, and then it had got bought out by an even bigger Spanish wine company, and Carlos ended up out on his own as a broker, and he spends a lot of time helping small companies all over Spain basically establish an international presence. And this is a shot of Carlos and I together in 2012 looking up at the Cantabrico mountain range, which forms the barrier between the Rioja wine region and the rest of the north of Spain. So the first time I met Carlos, I spoke no Spanish. Carlos didn't speak a lot of English, but we met and we spent a day running around Rioja. We looked at 2 or 3 different wineries at different levels, and then we ended up having a typically Spanish lunch, started at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, sitting on the terrace of a restaurant overlooking a golf course and looking up into the Cantabrico Mountains in the north of Rioja. And we had an absolute riot, and we really hit it off, and we've been very close friends ever since, and Carlos has continued to be a very big part of both my time in Spain and also my Spanish wine portfolio. These days, Vitoria has become a real second home, and I'm very lucky to have friends, close friends, there and across Europe, and now bring in wines from all over Spain as a result. Once we left Vitoria after the World Championships, we toured through France and all the major wine regions, Saint-Emilion, Burgundy, through Champagne, and we eventually ended up in Schiedam in Holland, where my brother-in-law, who was a professional cricketer, now lives. These days he works for a well-known fine wine merchant called Hosman Vins, and when we got there we had a car full of wine, so we figured might as well have a party. During the party he put a red wine in front of me and said, here, try this, and I was so taken with it I thought, I've got to have some of this as well. Well, that led me to the great red wines of Sicily and the even greater sunsets. From there, I've been fortunate to add the fantastic Valpolicella, Ripasso and Amarone wines of the Veneto region, along with the famous Italian wines Barolo and Barbaresco from Piemonte, as well as other wines from across Italy and other areas of Europe. So that's the story of the origins of Redbridge, and as they say, the rest is history. Now, if you want to buy any of our European wines, go to our website, redbridgeonline.co.nz.